From Newsweek, U.S. states that wish to join Russia will be considered, says Duma member. Oh, well, good news. If you're an American state and you want to vote to join Russia, they're listening. They say a senior member of the state Duma, Russia's parliament, said that any U.S. states that want to break away from the country and instead join the Russian Federation will be considered. How hilarious would it be if Russia tries pulling off something in Alaska, like Crimea? Like, oh, the Alaskans had a vote and 80% want to be Russian.
And it would vindicate Sarah Palin because it proves she could have seen it from her house.
That's right. Well, that was actually Tina Fey. Yeah.
Same
Tina Fey, same person, I guess.
Yeah.
The comments come only a week after Russia declared the 4 regions of Ukraine had become Russian territory, blah, blah, blah. I love this one. It's actually really funny because we're constantly talking about civil war and peaceful divorce. And I think they actually bring this up. They say that the U.S. was beginning to decay and that its ally, the European Union, which has also provided strong military assistance to Ukraine, was bursting at its seams. Tolmachev said this was the result of failed American foreign policy. Such initiatives are a signal that the citizens of the U.S. are dissatisfied with their leadership and are ready to take extreme measures up to secession if the current policy of America continues. I mean, look, there are a lot of people in the U.S. that actually think Russia's the good guy in this. I think that's wrong, but people believe it. So what happens if you get enough people in a I don't know, in the Pacific Northwest, and they're just like, yeah, we don't want this. I mean, when you look at what's going on in Portland and Seattle with the wokeness and everything, you might actually start getting sympathizers.
Yeah, LA, New York too.
LA.
I don't think anyone's going to want to become Russian in the United States.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe some people might, but I don't think that any organization would think that would be better because the United States
disagree.
is pretty awesome. Well,
that's
true. It would be a
but
military risk too. If people did that, they'd be labeled traitors, seditionists, and executed immediately.
Well, yeah,
bombed and executed. It wouldn't make sense.
But the founding fathers also, were traitors to the crown. So there are people who think. The people who talk about wokeness and the cabal, there are many of these people who think Vladimir Putin is a traditionalist, he's Christian, and he's fighting against Satanism and evil. There are people in the U.S. who believe that.
But the founding fathers, they just split off and formed their own country. They didn't join like France or anything. If they,
right. No, I get it.
That probably might have flown.
I'm just saying that
I don't think they would have got what they wanted out of it.
There are going to be people. I mean, hey, look, man, in war, you get separatists, you get partisans, and infighting breaks out.
I think Viktor Orban would have more success, though, getting some people to join Hungary than anybody joining Russia.
Yeah, I mean, Hungary has really attracted a lot of people. But I will also mention that there are a lot of people associated with the far right, or whatever you'd call it, in the U.S. who have praised Ukraine for some time. There's many people who have moved to Ukraine well before the conflict broke out because they support more, traditional, heavily traditional policies. So joining Russia, I mean, not me, but man, is it rocking a hard place. Russia, I'm not a fan of. I'm a fan of the country, the history, the people, but the government is what I mean to say. The United States, man, it's kind of the same thing. I would trust Biden and the U.S. government only slightly more than anyone else, and that's simply because they live here. And so at least we have some shared interests and not wanting to get blown up. But man, Joe Biden is crooked. I do not think he's doing anything for the American people. So the question is, how do you protect what this country is supposed to be, the Constitution and its people, when you have crackpot, corrupt cronies who are running the show?
Decentralization and personal responsibility, where you don't need them and you're not dependent on them or their money. And, I think individuals could take small actions. I think it starts at a community level and it builds up from there. And I think you just got to be the best example of an individual who doesn't need the state and is there for themselves and could be fully independent.
Yeah. So peaceful divorce.
You wouldn't even have to divorce. It's just a different style of living locally instead of fawning for the feds.
Just like the Amish and other communities of individuals saying, hey, we want to take care of ourselves. You guys do what you guys want, but as long as you're not harming anyone, there shouldn't be any problems here.
The thing about that, I think it's not super appealing to a lot of people because it's not like a switch you flip and then get a solution, but it's like a long-term solution. It could become a solution to, overarching federalism.
I mean, in theory, you don't even really need a divorce for this to happen. You just have to honor the terms of the marriage.
Yeah.
But we're not really honoring the terms of the marriage is sort of the problem on that front.
You know what it is? Like, back in the day, the husband and the wife were sleeping in different beds, at least on TV.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they started sharing a bed.
Well, first they slid their beds together.
Yeah.
Then
Is that what happened
I
in
think so.
TV? The beds were pushed together?
Yeah, that was the first. Was that the first one? Is that the first married couple sleeping in a bed? Was two beds? Well, no, in real life they used to do that, I think. But anyway,
Like actually sleep in separate beds?
Yeah, but then they'd slide them together, and then they'd. But anyway, I didn't. Yeah.
I'm a proponent for that. You get a lot more restful sleep when you're in a separate bed by yourself compared with
brother.
somebody else.
But this
Buy
is
a
why-
king size.
That's why they make mattresses that, like can adjust and go up and down, have different firmness and different temperatures. But you see, my point is, the United States used to be, we all slept in separate beds. And then at some point, we're all sleeping in the same bed and it's not working out.
Oh, yeah, you're laying, I'm smelling your feet, head to foot.
It took I'm waking up, the
Yeah,
blanket's
I'm cold,
gone.
man. Turn the heat up.
They steal the blanket all the time.
I'm drying
right.
out from that fan in the ceiling.
Look, I'm over here in West Virginia minding my own business, and Maryland is grabbing the blanket and spinning slowly throughout the night, wrapping themselves up like a burrito. I'm waking up freezing like, dude, fine, I'll get my own blanket. And then they're like, you're calling for a divorce. It's like, maybe I should just have my own blanket.
You should.
man.
And my parents have separate bedrooms, and they love life. And they didn't
I'm
always.
using it as a metaphor for,
If you can do it,
peaceful
do
divorce.
it. Get your own room.
Sleep is key to recovery and health.
So now let's translate that into the political situation in the United States. Maybe we're supposed to actually have these states for a reason where the federal government should not be banning these weapons and guns and restricting them. If you live in West Virginia and you want a 100-round drum fully auto, that's on you. Just, I mention this all the time. People drive cars all day, every day, and they're not ramming me or chasing me down. I do not fear them. I see a guy driving a car. I don't think twice. I saw a guy walking down the street in West Virginia with a crossbow. I didn't go, oh, he's got a crossbow. Oh no, what do I do? I just went, howdy. Hey, that's it. I don't know. Am I supposed to be worried the guy's armed? No. Someone in a car could run me over. But for some reason, at the federal level, they're like, we've hereby decided that everyone in this country can no longer have this or that because we are scared. Now, there's a reason for states, and we should probably start upholding that. Maybe that would solve a lot of these problems.
In Maryland, you might be worried about the person driving toward you in a car.
Why is that?
Maryland drivers are kind of notorious for bad driving.
Well, I just mean, look, when I see cars, I get out of the way. I don't just stand there and think this car's barreling towards me. No, you look both ways when you cross the street, but cars can kill you. Someone in a car can choose to use it as a weapon of a lethal weapon, and they don't do it.
And there have been cases where
Sure,
it's happened,
sure,
but it's
of
not a
course.
daily occurrence. Yeah.
Right, and there's occasions where people take guns and do bad things with them, but I just look at it like the average person wielding a lethal force does not use it. That's it. So I'm not worried about people having guns. But anyway, the main reason I bring that up is just that the problem we're facing in this country is that if there is going to be a national divorce, it's going to be because no one will let states be. Or I should say it's because the Democrat big cities will not let everyone else just be.
That's usually the reason. I think historically, if someone secedes, it's because they're getting smacked down by the person that's trying to control them.
Right. And if they just backed off, then we'd let it go. We'd be like, yeah, it's kind of bad, but we're okay. But now it's just too bad.
There are some things like pollution regulations that I understand the federal government's got to get annoying about because, if you're burning a lot or dumping stuff in the water and it goes into another state, then someone else, an arbiter, needs to come in and kind of smooth things over, or take control even sometimes, which is or force you to control yourself from a different perspective.
That's what the government does, Ian. That's what they do with Monsanto. That's what they do with all these other multinational corporations. They just give them permission slips to poison and to release their pollutants everywhere else. That's essentially what government's doing, Ian.
Since when? Since the central banks in 1830? Since the early adoption?
I don't know when you want to go back, but when you look at what the government's doing, they're essentially one of the biggest and largest polluters on the world and the biggest enablers of pollution on the world. And a lot of their policies are absolutely nonsensical and leading to the destruction of our planet when it comes to destroying the national resources and just sending it off to China to let them pollute even more because we can't handle our own trash here. It's absolutely ridiculous.
What if we removed the human element from politics and had a computer do it all? Right?
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Maybe
That's
some
right.
have a computer do some of it. Some advice, maybe.
That's probably already happening, and it's probably going to be miserable. The robot's going to be like, humans like corn, make more corn. And then you're going to be like, okay, I guess we're making corn. And then the humans do like corn, man. And they're going to make a whole lot of it. Bill Gates likes corn, apparently.
Yeah, and soy. He really loves soy. As
he
you
really?
could see from his,
Moobs.
absolutely.
His moobs.
Moobs. Yep.
His moobs.
Technical term.
Yeah, I don't think humans are going to create an AI that is like humans are going to create an AI they think is good enough to run the show, but it's not going to be good enough to run the show, and then it's just going to make a mess of everything.
Yeah, humans got to govern themselves. But having machines advise us, like intelligent machines can always give advice because they can do calculations really quick and be like, well, if you put the factory there, you will create this amount of pollution in these places with this amount of wind current. But if the wind current's different, give you all these different contingent possibilities.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.